It's nearly 10 years since the 9/11 terrorist attacks, but it is exactly 5 years to the day since construction began on the skyscraper that will replace the fallen Twin Towers in New York City. I know you're a patriot. I know you're excited and interested in this project. That's where we begin on Bud Hedinger Live this morning. The so-called Freedom Tower, officially named One World Trade Center now, a work in progress, and an update as we join Todd Starnes of Fox News on this 5th anniversary of the groundbreaking in New York City on this great building. Good morning to you, Todd. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. You know, it's interesting. When I was down here, I was down at the World Trade Center site last night talking to folks, and I thought, you know, we would get a lot of sentimental, patriotic folks, but quite frankly, everybody said the same thing. What the heck is taking so long?
Well, you know, I've said that as well. It's unbelievable how much longer it takes to build anything in this country than it used to. Here is the classic comparison. They built the Empire State Building in Midtown Manhattan in the early 1930s in about 1 year. It's unbelievable that it's taken 5 years, and my understanding is right now they have something on the order of 65 floors done or something like that?
No, 62 stories are done. They're a little over the halfway mark, and it's scheduled to be completed around 2013. So the tower will not be completed for the 10-year anniversary of the 9/11 attacks.
You've actually been to Ground Zero. You say you were down there around the site. Paint the word pictures for us. What does it look like at this point?
It looks like a big construction zone in the middle of the city. There's not a lot of room for people to move around. There aren't as many tourists, and I think that's part of the reason, because there's just not much room. This is a massive site, and believe it or not, there are in some places still holes in the ground. But
we should point out that one tower replaces two, not exactly where the Twin Towers stood. That's the site of a memorial, and there are 3 other high-rise buildings that will go up, not as high as the quote-unquote Freedom Tower, but in the new complex, right?
Yes, that's correct. And that 4 World Trade Center tower is already under construction. They're up to about 20 or so stories. And that's sort of catty corner from the big tower, the Freedom Tower. So when the anniversary happens, the museum and the Memorial Gardens, those two where the 2 imprints of the first towers were, those will be open to the public. But the big tower, again, it won't be ready for quite some time.
Now, what is the answer to the question you posed? What's taking so long?
Well, there are a number of factors, but the biggest one, this is New York City. And while they say they're progressive, it takes forever to get things done here. They had a lot of financial problems, a lot of lawsuits. And if you remember, the families of the victims were very upset and very concerned about what was going to go in place of the Twin Towers.
What kind of commitment do they have for occupancy of this building? Because I remember in the early years when we talked about replacing it, we talked a lot on this show about the fact what could be a more inviting target for Al-Qaeda to try to knock it down again.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's not going to be called Freedom Tower. As far as occupancy, I'd like to thank the good folks of Florida, because government buildings or government offices are going to be occupying most of the building.
Wait a minute. What's the Florida connection there? I lost the transmission for a second.
Taxpayer dollars are funding the occupancy of this building, government agencies.
Okay, fair enough. But what's the Florida connection? I don't understand that. You mean you're talking about Florida and all across the country?
Okay, let me explain this. Florida folks in Florida pay federal tax dollars, and federal office buildings or offices and agencies are going in the World Trade Center towers. So, yes, folks in Florida and the rest of the country are paying to support this building.
Are there any particular ceremonies or, whatever associated with this 5th-year anniversary of the start of construction, or they just plow on? It's another day on the site.
No, not at all. They're just plowing on. As a matter of fact, I'm the only reporter out here. So it's just business as usual. Folks are going about their business. And believe it or not, work continues on this tower day and night.
We want to thank you, Todd Starnes. You've been to Ground Zero within the last 24 hours. You're just the guy we needed to talk to on this occasion. Todd Starnes, Fox News, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Have a good one.
Likewise. You do now.
Okay, good deal. By the way, I've asked Jenna to post, and she has, of course, done it on the Bud's blog section at 540WFLA.com. There is a video with some tremendous images of the way Lower Manhattan is now going to look, and there's also a great shot, and it's all backed up with very reverent music. I think you'll find it very moving. It's a couple of minutes of video. You will actually see the memorial site because where they're building the One World Trade Center is not exactly where the Twin Towers stood, but there's an aerial view, and on the footprint of the two Twin Towers are the memorial gardens and all the tributes to the victims there. So it's a very, very stunning look at the way the Lower Manhattan skyline will be changed and is being changed as we speak. 5 years it's taken to get to this point, but it looked to me 5 years ago as though we were never going to get this thing out of the ground. Have you heard and or seen what happened at Congressman Dan Webster's town hall meeting yesterday here in Orlando? It is chaos. It's getting national attention, and I've got to tell you, what happened to Dan Webster yesterday is just a little taste of what's coming across this country in the next year or two or longer. Stay with me. We'll talk all about it as we continue. You don't want to miss this. 612 on BHL, real-time traffic and weather together on the twos. Hey, I hope you've gotten on down to Fountain Acura. If not so, I hope you'll do so today or at your earliest possible convenience and talk to my friends and test drive the fabulous Acura RL sedan that I'm driving right now. You will absolutely love this machine. All the Acuras are pure luxury styling, command of the road. They're very, very special cars. And along with the Acura RL sedan at Fountain Acura right now, they're top-of-the-line 7-passenger MDX SUV. Incredible financing rates at Fountain, as low as 0.9% on all the new ones right now. If you're already driving an Acura, how'd you like at Fountain to upgrade to a brand new Acura model with no money down and a similar monthly payment? They can make it happen. It's incredible. What an opportunity. What a dealership. What cars. Fountain Acura. Go see them. South OBT, just south of the Florida Mall. Online, fountainacura.com. Hey, a few heartfelt words right now and thoughts from my good friend Dr. Ken Kronhaus and his wonderful staff at Lake Cardiology. My thanks to them for saving my life with a cutting-edge heart scan they pioneered in all of Central Florida. They had the CT coronary angiography medical miracle before anybody else because Dr. Kronhaus knew he could save lives. He knew this bud scan, as he calls it in my honor, would reveal things that many other tests do not. It was a great new tool to save lives, and that's what it's all about at Lake Cardiology. Saved my life. The scan showed problems in my coronary arteries for which I had no symptoms. No other test had shown I had any trouble at all. And he says, Bud, man, you were heading for a lights-out heart attack. The Bud scan saved my life. He named it in my honor, but it has saved thousands of lives of your friends and neighbors who got on the phone at my recommendation and simply asked one question to the staff at Lake Cardiology. You think this Bud scan could be right for me? And then they'll talk over your particular circumstances, and you'll both reach a decision together. It's your heart, it's your life. It is Lake Cardiology, home of Dr. Kronhaus, and the amazing Bud scan. Tap into it, connect to it, ask him about it today. 352-735-1400. 352-735-1400.
Let the man make his presentation, and then we can ask questions and have input. How about that? Common decency. Common courtesy when Grayson was speaking. Common courtesy. What do you say?
Just a few seconds of the chaotic scene at Congressman Daniel Webster's town hall meeting yesterday at the Orange County Extension Education Center on South Conway Road. Congressman Webster, who was on our show live at the tail end of last week, has been holding his spigot of spending town hall meetings during the congressional break, and he really got an earful yesterday, in part driven by angry Alan Grayson constituents. And, of course, Webster wiped out liberal Alan Grayson in the District 8 general election last November. And so they were there to disrupt the proceedings, and they did a pretty good job of it until the cops kind of gathered around and put the lid on everything, and it all continued. Dan Webster said he's not at all surprised. It's a contentious issue. It's a part of his district where you've got a real divide politically, and he said what is absolutely right. This is a democracy. This is fundamentally American, the right to turn out and protest and petition your government and your representatives, and he just says he didn't have a problem with it at all. But it was just the wildest scene I think I have seen ever here politically in Central Florida. If you were at that meeting yesterday, I would love to hear from you. I want to comment on it further here. 407-916-5400. Toll free 1-866-916-5400. Daniel Webster was making a rather quiet, low-key presentation. He had charts and graphs, kind of like a Ross Perot thing going on there, explaining the deficits, explaining the debts, and the debt situation. And all of a sudden, people started coming unglued. They were shouting at him, then they were shouting at each other. And what you have here, I believe, is at least to some degree an intentional effort on the part of disgruntled Alan Grayson supporters to disrupt and embarrass Dan Webster. But you are naive if you think that's the whole story. Get ready to see what happened at Webster's meeting yesterday times, I can't even tell you how much, all across this country. More on that in just a second, and how you can see all of what you just heard and more as we continue. It is 6:22 on BHL, a real-time traffic and weather together check here on the Twos. Sunshine today, hot and humid, 92, and that'll be the top about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Right now, 73 degrees here in Orlando. I mean, you had one guy getting up and saying, you're taking away our Medicare benefits, which, of course, is what the Obama administration is putting out there, but nobody under the Paul Ryan plan that Dan Webster supports, as he told me last week on this show, nobody 55 or older is going to lose their Medicare, and this guy clearly was over 55. You know, I mean, so this was probably one of the Grayson plants, and Dan Webster seemed to handle it with remarkable grace. He is a gentleman, no question about that. Regardless of whether you agree with him politically, and I differ with him on some things, he's a gentleman, and he's a good man. But at any rate, you're going to see a whole lot more of this. Now, for a real look at the chaos there, to hear it on the radio is one thing. To actually see it, and I've got a presentation nearly 5 minutes long that we have posted on the Bud's blog section at 540WFLA.com. Just click on my picture at 540WFLA.com. You'll get to that. You'll also get to the World Trade Center video that you don't want to miss that we talked about a little earlier. But you'll see it for about a full 5 minutes. Get ready, gang. Get ready, gang. And don't be so naive as to think, well, this is just a bunch of Grayson left-wing wackos getting in there because they're mad at Webster for winning. It's far more than that. MoveOn.org is seeing the impact of the Tea Party movement. They and others of the left-wing movement in this country are getting better organized. And I'll tell you, we are in the middle of the most critical and contentious debate of our lifetimes in this country about dealing with our deficits, dealing with our debts, how much government we can afford, how much we are willing to pay for, and how do we make the gut-wrenching decisions to live within our means, which we are going to be forced as a nation to make. And all of a sudden, what's going on in the Webster meeting is just a taste of what's coming down the pike all across this country, because people are now coming to grips finally with the reality of what $14 trillion in debt is, and with the reality that our elected officials, in order to get reelected, have continued over the years to give us what too many of us want: more free, quote-unquote, free stuff from the government that we can't afford, more benefits, more entitlements. And now, hate to use the quote, the chickens are coming home to roost. And there's going to be a lot of pain, and people aren't ready for it, and they're going to be angry about it. Those who want more government are going to be angry when they get less government stuff. More people are dependent on the government now, and I'll talk about this poll later in the show, than ever have been before as a percentage in this country. And now they're going to have to be weaned off all the stuff they expect to get from the government because we can't afford it anymore, because we've spent ourselves into oblivion, and because the books are going to have to be balanced, and we are going to have to pay off this debt, and we are going to have to live within our means and balance budgets. And gut-wrenching cuts are coming as a nation, and you're going to see more of this anger rising across the land. Now, I don't want to be an alarmist here, but I'm a realist. I'm a realist. Get ready for more of this chaos and unrest. Get ready for violence. Maybe get ready for riots in the streets. I have absolutely no idea. It wouldn't surprise me at all. We've had them at various times in this country over other issues. But when you get down to cutting the spending, and the entitlements are the big kahunas that are going to have to be cut: Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. They're going to have to be cut. Benefits are going to be reduced. Substantial reforms have to be made. The whole thing is completely unsustainable when that much pain and disruption is visited upon this many million Americans who depend on these things from the government. They are not just going to sit there and take it. So get ready. I mean, I have no idea how long this is going to continue. But I want you to remember this day on this show when we let you hear some of what happened at the Webster Town Hall yesterday. And I want you to remember that I told you this was just a taste of what is absolutely inevitable in this country. We're going to get through it, gang. We can be a great nation again. But this pain is going to be severe. It's going to be severe over a protracted period of time, and you're going to have millions of Americans who are just hotter than hob about it and madder than hornets. And they're going to be out there expressing it, and it's going to get nasty, and it's going to get ugly. 628 on BHL. Stay with me. Wall Street Journal report and much more directly ahead after a news update with Michelle Murillo.
Morning. Good, how are you? Okay, sounds good, thank you. You're not going to get our feed for about another minute. Sorry about that. What was that? It runs till 39. Yep, so it'll be about 4 minutes. Yeah, you'll come in at about 34 and we'll run till 39. And what's the pronunciation on your last name? Crespo, got it. Thank you. Got it. Thanks so much.
From 540 WFLA, Orlando's 24-hour weather channel. Not a whole lot of change in our forecast for today. We're starting off in the low 70s here early this morning with a mixture of clouds and sun through the day. Once again, those pop-up late-day showers and storms on the hot side, low 90s. Weather's update around the clock on 540 WFLA. I'm Michael Palmer from the Weather Channel.
Call Bud Henninger now.
With response coming in from Canada to Tierra del Fuego.
Now, 407-916-5400. Toll free, 866-916-5400.
Good morning at 6:34. Time for our daily Wall Street Journal report. And as we gear up for it, I can tell you one of the things they're going to be watching closely at the Journal, and we'll be watching it closely and possibly talking about with you tomorrow, is the first ever news conference held by a Fed chairman, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke today. That will be most interesting, and I'm sure there will be much news coming out of it. For a look ahead to this day as it unfolds in the financial world, that's where we begin on the daily Wall Street Journal report. And in for Mike Salvatorelli, who's taken a couple of days off, the Wall Street Journal's Glenn Crespo. Thank you, Crespo. Thank you very much, Glenn. It's good to have you with us. Good morning.
It's good to be here, Brett. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Looking ahead at today's opening bell, got a couple of things that will be happening. An update on mortgage applications. That'll be at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. In fact, that'll be coming up quite soon. An hour before the opening bell, there's an advance report on last month's durable goods orders. And later this morning, we'll be getting an update from the Energy Department. That'll be on the nation's gasoline and crude oil supplies.
Now, let's take a look at the futures that the Wall Street Journal is always monitoring. Let's talk about where we are on that.
Looking pretty good right now. In fact, we're up. The S&P futures are up 13, and the NASDAQ futures are up 3. So we're making a repeat of yesterday's pretty good performance.
And you're also keeping a particular eye on Amazon.com that didn't have a particularly good day yesterday, right?
Exactly, but right after hours, it fell about 1% in trading, and this after warning that the first quarter profits were lower by more than 32%. Now, the company did give a confident revenue forecast, and it shows its aggressive expansion into new business is really paying off.
Boy, but down 32% just when the economy seems at least to be in general recovering. That's bad news for Amazon.com. I thought they were just on their way. I'm surprised to see their earnings drop by a third like that, their profits.
And it also comes on the heel of the problems they had with their website over the weekend. So you've got these two factors weighing in here, but they're confident they're going to turn things around.
We're going to be talking later on this show about consumer confidence here in Florida, and it's interesting. I mean, it's an uneven recovery, and we talk about it all the time here, and we still have huge problems, particularly in the housing market, but the Journal is reporting on exactly what I'm going to be talking about later on here, new information on how folks in Florida are feeling about now and the future.
Consecutive months, and that's 4 to 68 in the month of April. We all know the economy's been struggling because of domestic problems and the gas prices and troubles overseas. Now, 4 of the index 5 components decreased, including the perceptions of the personal financial situation expected about a year from now. That fell 11 points to a record low of 69.
That does not bode well. You know, I mean, you're hearing all of this out of official Washington that the worst is over, the recession is over, it's all behind us, it's all upswing. Hang on, gang, the American economy is rebounding. But, you know, folks who are dealing with this every day and trying to make a living, trying to find a job, they're not quite so rosy as official Washington, at least in Florida, and I think that's the bottom line out of the Wall Street Journal on this.
Exactly, especially when you pull up to the pumps and you look at the prices, that's going to put a damper on how you perform for the rest of the day.
There is no question. It's always been true. Those posted gas prices and the fact that we have to pay at the pump all the time when they're through the roof, it absolutely throws a damper on the economy and people's perception of it no matter where we are. Let's also look in closing in our final minute here, Glenn, Florida with some optimistic news coming in and the Wall Street Journal reporting on it as we try to climb out of this recession.
Well, now the state is supposed to be the 8th largest employment gain of any state in the country. Now, the latest figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show that Florida had an increase of 51,500 non-farm jobs between March of 2011 and the same month this year.
Okay, on an optimistic note, we'll wrap things up. That's the Daily Wall Street Journal report from the best newspaper in America. Pick it up. You'll love it at any newsstand. And the online edition is terrific, too, WSJ.com. And our friends at the Wall Street Journal Radio Network, we love our partnership with them. They're a real presence on 540 WFLA in the morning, in the afternoon, you name it, and we love them. And in for Mike Salvatorelli, thanks for a good job, Glenn Crespo. We'll see you tomorrow morning, same time for the Journal Report. Okay, you too, my friend. Coming up on 6:39 here on 540 WFLA. Well, well, well. The liberal comings and goings. I've got some news on Katie Couric a little later, but I've got some news for you right now on Keith Olbermann, that Fox News hating left-wing whack job who, I don't know, was blown out of MSNBC. They couldn't stand dealing with him anymore. You can get different versions of that story. His countdown show has been gone for several months, and it was the centerpiece of the liberal primetime lineup on MSNBC. Keith Olbermann's countdown show is coming back, and he proudly made the announcement yesterday. Countdown with Keith Olbermann is coming back. Oh, but how the mighty have fallen. It's not coming back on MSNBC, and no other network would have him. Keith Olbermann's countdown show will start airing this summer on something I've never heard of until I read this, Current TV. Do you have any idea what that is? Current TV. This is an Al Gore enterprise. And they've picked up Al Gore, a fellow lefty, Keith Olbermann. But as I say, how the mighty have fallen. This guy is never going to be heard from again. It's like when Dan Rather got blown out of CBS and he showed up on, I don't know what it was, some minor network. And the only time you ever see him is when Chris Matthews digs him up and dusts him off for his pre-recorded Sunday morning show. That's it. This guy is headed for oblivion, and Keith Olbermann is touting his return on the comeback trail with the Countdown show on Current TV. I asked Jenna to look up something on Current TV, and here's what she reports. That Current TV can use all the help it can get. The ratings are so low that they're not even ranked in Nielsen's daily cable charts. And who knows? I mean, they get hash marks. They're not even rated. Now, Jenna, let me ask you this. All three of us are Bright House, and I thought, I don't know every channel on Bright House because I got certain ones I really enjoy, and I may have missed a few. Can you even get Current TV on Bright House?
Not as far as I can tell on the Bright House website, but we haven't checked DirecTV yet.
Okay.
So Bright House, not, according to their website, no.
I mean, an absolute minor player is Current TV. And Keith Olbermann's coming back. Good luck, okay? I mean, he's never going to be heard from again. The Katie Couric story is very, very interesting. That's coming up a little later here on BHL. But something I really want to get into with you here in just a second. This new poll that pretty much shows that the American people have had it with both major parties as we come up on the 2012 presidential campaign. The American people seem fed up to the point where they don't really like anybody, the president or any of his prospective opponents on the GOP side. Does this set the stage for a third party? We're talking as we continue. Good morning at 6:42. Real-time traffic and weather together updated on the 2s now.
From the David Moss Volkswagen Leaf Road Traffic Center, getting a check on I-4. Continue to see a problem-free ride. So far this morning, we're up to speed between the attractions and Lake Mary areas. No problems to slow your travels in either direction of the 408. And 528 is also up to speed between I-4 and the coast. We're in good shape along the Turnpike as well. Just one problem spot in the Claremont area. There is an accident with roadblock along State Road 33 at County Road 474. From the Traffic Center, I'm Courtney Bright.
From 540 WFLA, Orlando's 24-hour weather channel. Not a whole lot of change in our forecast for today. We're starting off in the low 70s here early this morning with a mixture of clouds and sun through the day. Once again, those pop-up late-day showers and storms on the hot side, low 90s. Weather's update around the clock on 540 WFLA. I'm Michael Palmer from the Weather Channel.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Murillo. Coming up in your 7 o'clock news, a judge will try to figure out what to do with 3 children whose mother killed a 4th in a wreck. The crews arrived for the final scheduled flight of Shuttle Endeavour, and that teen that escaped twice from a Marion County jail back in custody.
Hey, how about having lunch today where filet mignon meets truck stop fries, and that's at your nearest Houlihan's location. Our favorite restaurant, Houlihan's, a great Orlando tradition. This big, diverse menu for every taste and every price range. There's nothing like it. The atmosphere is terrific, and the service is exemplary at Houlihan's without exception. And they make almost everything on that menu from scratch, and few restaurants, if any others, do that. That's the Houlihan's way. You are going to love it. 4 locations for lunch today, 192 in Kissimmee, University Boulevard near UCF, on East Colonial, and on I-Drive. Check that website at Houlihan's.com, and then lunch today at Houlihan's.
Traffic on Air Online is service of Allstate. April showers can bring wet roads and more accidents. So before you get behind the wheel, put yourself in good hands. Call a local agent, 888-ALLSTATE, or visit allstate.com. Dollar for dollar, nobody protects you like Allstate.
Hi, I'm Dr. Don Colbert. There's only one water filtration system that I trust, and that's Life Ionizer. The Life Alkaline Mineral Water Ionizer filters tap water through 3 filters, then ionizes and alkalizes it. I believe it is the healthiest water available. We use it in our office as well as our home, and it should be a part of your family's investment in good health. You need to call 877-208-1118 or visit them at life30.com. That's life30.com.
Don't settle for a second-string used car. Listen to the Carfax and get a free Carfax vehicle history report from your dealer. You'll see accidents and service reported to Carfax, plus a price based on the vehicle's history. Just say, "Show me the Carfax," or visit Carfax.com.
Hey, what are you doing right now? I'm looking for someone ready to bid on a home. Yes, bid on a home. I'm looking for somebody to tell me they want to bid just $69,000 on a home previously valued at $360,000. If you can click a mouse, you can buy a house. Auction.com is hosting a live auction event in Florida starting on May 15th. Attend in person or bid online at Auction.com. Over 190 homes must be sold. For example, a home in Orlando previously valued at over $360,000 has a starting bid of just $69,000. And that's just one of the many opportunities that await. Open house dates are April 30th and May 7th and 8th. View all details at Auction.com. We're the global leader in real estate auctions, and we've put thousands of great deals in the hands of smart investors and savvy home buyers. Learn more at Auction.com. That's www.auction.com. Auction.com LLC, 1 Mockley, Irvine, California, 92618. Broker CQ 103-1187. Auctioneer Mark Bolziak, AU 3448. For complete licensing, visit www.auction.com/licensing.
If you're going through a divorce, you need to know your rights and options. I'm attorney Matt Inglet with KEL reminding you about Walk-In Wednesday. Come in anytime today from 8 to 8 and meet with an attorney free of charge, no appointment needed. 800 New Laws, KEL. You have questions, we have answers. Kaufman, Inglet, and Lind, Office Orlando.
Alaska and the Great Northwest is nature's largest stage. Soaring mountains, icy fjords, and abundant wildlife. Holland America and YMT Vacations have put together a special performance, August 29th for 540 WFLA listeners. 15 days, including the historic 7-day Inside Passage cruise. You start in Salt Lake City, where the curtain goes up. Front row seats through the Great Northwest. See all the major acts, including Jackson Hole, Yellowstone, Old Faithful, and Big Sky Country. In Vancouver, board the 5-star luxury liner the MS Oosterdam to cruise Alaska's 1,000-mile corridor to Juneau. Pan for gold in Skagway. See great chunks of ice crash into Glacier Bay on our way to Ketchikan, the salmon capital of the world. Alaska performances every day. Call 800-922-9000 from only $16.99 plus tax. Includes hotels, cruise, onboard meals, and front row seats to nature's largest stage. 800-922-9000. That's 800-922-9000.
Class, this is Small Business Insurance 101. I'm Professor Burke. Roll footage, please. This is Pat's Wings, home to the famous incinerator sauce. Lots can go wrong at small restaurants like Pat's. Slippery floors, fires, cutlery juggling incidents. With our coverage, when the unexpected happens, Pat barely breaks a sweat. unlike those eating his fiery wings.
Sit down with a Farmers Insurance agent to see how you can protect your small business. Find your local agent at farmers.com. We are insurance.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Coverage not available in all areas.
And now on to the bonus round. If blood is thicker than water, what's thicker than blood?
Fondue cheese?
Correct. Never look a gift horse in the mouth. Why not?
Gingivitis.
Correct. Netflix lets you watch unlimited TV episodes instantly through your what?
The game console or other devices.
Correct! Watch unlimited episodes of your favorite TV shows and movies instantly through your game console or other devices. All for only $8 a month from Netflix. See terms of use.
Weather brought to you by Safe Touch Security.
Speaking of the weather, it gives your house a pounding. You checked out your paint job. Didn't you just pay thousands to a painter 4 or 5 years ago? Now it's looked dingy. It's getting mildew. The paint's cracking. What are you going to do? What are you going to do if you got an apartment complex? You're the landlord, or you got a church you need to get painted again. You're going to pass the plate again for a painter? Give me a break. It's crazy. Do not paint until you've gotten a free estimate from the alternative to paint. That is Colorcrete, made here in Orlando by a wonderful family-owned business. Colorcrete of Central Florida. I believe once you connect to Colorcrete, your days of painting are done, because you're going to get a 25-year guarantee on every Colorcrete job, and you're never going to get that from any painter, are you? 25-year guarantee, because unlike with paint, with Colorcrete, you get a protective barrier against our wind-driven rain. It'll prevent mildew, put a stop to peeling, chalking, and cracking. They've cut the great Colorcrete price 10%. They'll even throw in a free pressure cleaning of your driveway and sidewalks. Don't miss out on this opportunity and this great alternative to paint. Call for the free estimate. Tell them the Budman says hey. 407-851-3442. 407-851-3442. Online, it's colorcreteusa.com.
It's the Budman.
He knows exactly what the trouble is.
Call now. 407-916-5400. Toll free. 866-916-5400.
You know what I used to worry the most about in this country as I looked at the future of our representative republic and our cherished freedoms in this great country? I worried about voter apathy. Nobody seemed to be connected to anything that was going on. Nobody seemed to turn out, in, at least not in significant numbers, for elections. And it was incredible. It was embarrassing. Well, we don't have an apathy problem anymore, but we have an antipathy problem that is reflected in a stunning new poll. I want to know what you think about this. 407-916-5400 is my number. According to the new survey from the USA Today and Gallup, there's a total turnoff across party lines as people look at their choices for president in the 2012 campaign. 46% of those surveyed say Barack Obama will definitely not get their vote. I mean, he is ineligible for the vote of 46% of the people in this country. That puts him right on the edge where he's got very, very little margin, or he will be turned out and be a one-term president. That is a stunning number. A stunning number. He is ineligible for the vote of 46% of the people. You're going to say, my goodness, any Republican can beat him. But the flip side of this poll is just as bad in terms of what it portends for the leading contenders for the Republican presidential nomination. Just about an equal percentage of Americans who will not vote for Barack Obama say they will not vote for Mitt Romney or Mike Huckabee. These are the two Republicans and former presidential candidates who are leading in most of the primary polls. Not all, but most of them. Is the news any better for Donald Trump, who's been getting a lot of traction? Or for Sarah Palin, who has such a following? No, it's worse. In this poll, 64% say they will not, under any circumstances, vote for Donald Trump. 65% say they will never vote for Sarah Palin, no matter what. It's incredible. What does that say? I'll tell you what it says. It's screaming two words at the Budman. 407-916-5400. Tell you what they are in 60 seconds. Here's a look now for you at real-time traffic and weather together on the twos.
From the morning, David Moss, Volkswagen Link Road Traffic Center. Getting a check on I-4. Continue to see a problem-free ride. So far this morning, we're up to speed between the attractions and Lake Mary area. No problems to slow your travels in either direction of the 408. And 528 is also up to speed between I-4 and the coast. We're in good shape along the Turnpike as well. Just one problem spot in the Claremont area. There is an accident with roadblock along State Road 33 at County Road 474. From the Traffic Center, I'm Courtney Bright.
Sunshine today, very hot and humid, 92 for our high. Right now, dawn is breaking, and it is a beautiful morning at 73 degrees. This poll says the American people are totally turned off by their choices. They are angry at their elected officials. There's nobody that lights them up for president. That's incredible. We've gone from apathy to antipathy. Nobody likes anybody. And I'll tell you what it screams to me. Something that I have discounted and dismissed on this show time after time in the 8 years I've been hosting Bud Hedinger Live. And that is the concept of a viable third party and a viable third party presidential candidate. If you have 46% of the people who will not under any circumstances vote for Barack Obama, and if you've got percentages very similar to that and even worse for a lot of the GOP presidential wannabes who are out there, you have an unprecedented opportunity for somebody else to fill this vacuum. The problem with other third-party candidacies are they split the vote of one major party and they give the election to the other major party. Ross Perot, 1992, gave the White House to Bill Clinton because he siphoned votes away from Bush the elder, Bush 41. He got 19% of the vote, and almost all of them came out of George W. Bush's hide. Not George W., but George H.W. And we've seen it time and time again. You can't have a third-party candidate who's going to split a major party vote. But if you've got voters turned off in enormous numbers, as this poll indicates, by both major parties, you do have an opportunity, and I can't name who this person would be. Has to be someone who's not way to the left or way to the right. It's got to be somebody who can come right down in the middle, grab the independent vote, and grab a significant number of votes from both the Republican and Democrat loyalists. And you could have a third party and a third party candidate taking the White House. That's what this poll says to the Budman. Let's talk about it with you. Tom, you're on the line out of Orlando. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Bud. Yeah, I can see with Obama, I can see him within about 6 months of the election, if his numbers are looking bad, he will institute some policy or lift the moratorium on drilling to whet the appetite of the people who are against him for gas prices. So he will. So
he'd sell out his left-wing go green ideology just to get reelected and start drill baby drill. It'd be so obvious what a hypocrite he was. Do you think he'd actually pick up votes doing that?
I think he'd pick up independents. Do you really trust the man?
No.
He's an habitual liar.
No, I do not trust Barack Obama.
And nobody on the Republican side, except for maybe Michelle Bachmann, even raises my eyebrow. Mitt Romney, I don't trust him. He's a politician, and until he disavows Romneycare, I can't vote for the man.
Is there a potential third-party candidate? A scenario in which somebody could succeed as a third-party candidate. Let's just take these numbers at face value, shall we, for a moment? I mean, it is Gallup USA Today. I'm not suggesting there's any political axis to grind. The president takes a hit. All the Republicans do here. This screams third-party potential to me. How about you?
No, I don't think so. I voted for Ross Perot back in '94, and
that would be 92, but go ahead.
92, yeah. I got sucked in, and I put Bill Clinton in the office, so I would probably never vote for a third-party candidate again.
For that very reason, which is why at this time it couldn't be somebody who divides the Republican Party vote to be successful. It would have to be a different kind of a third-party candidate with a different kind of appeal across the political spectrum. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. Here's Jim in Kissimmee. Good morning, Jim.
Hey, good morning, Bud. Great show as always.
Well, thank you.
Hey, just wanted to say, I believe the poll was done by USA Today or Gallup for USA Today.
Together, USA Today and Gallup.
Yeah, and let's face it, a lot of these polls, you never know because of how they do the questions. And I actually don't trust that many of them except for Rasmussen, which I hope.
Well, if you don't trust them, are you suggesting that they're tilting it one side or the other? Because I don't see that here. Because it's horrible news for Obama, just as it's horrible news for all the other Republicans. I don't see a political axe to grind here. Are you just saying it is polling incompetence?
No, actually, I do see it as an axe to grind, and the one that they're grinding on the most is Trump. And I got to admit, he's the only one prior to Palin that I was actually even.
I have to totally take issue with you on that, Jim. The headline in this poll is 46% of the Americans say Barack Obama will definitely not get their vote. That is the banner headline on this. Trump's in with a group of Republicans. This is not something where they're going after Donald Trump. This is a killer for Barack Obama.
Well, see, I don't even see it as a killer for Barack Obama, because wasn't it first Bush, I always call Bush Sr., that was actually saying he was going to be reelected 18 months out, and, of course, that never materialized.
Well, at any rate, we're talking about it here, and I thank you for that, Jim. Thanks for listening, and thanks for calling. Glad you enjoy the show. I have a list of things I want to share with you as we begin hour number 2, which I really think are focused on maybe the most important issue confronting us now, beyond the specifics of the debt and the deficit, and that is the decline of America. Is America on the decline? And if so, can it be reversed? Or do we follow every other nation in history that has been on top, and once it starts to slide, it continues to slide? Can we break that pattern? What are the factors in the economic decline of this great country we love? I've got a piece from teaparty.org on their website, the 24 signs of economic decline in America. I want to run this by you. I want you to be listening closely as we begin hour number 2 on this, and I want us to talk about this together on the 50,000-watt front porch. 407-916-5400. Toll free 1-866-916-5400. Now at exactly 7 o'clock, here's the news with Michelle.
WFLF Pine Hills, WTKS FM HD2, Go Beach. Your home for Glenn Beck. 540 WFLA. 540 WFLA. Local news from the Fox Orlando News Center.
In addition, the actual number of reported index crimes also
morning, David Moss, Volkswagen Lee Road Traffic Center. Seeing some slow traffic building up westbound along I-4, just a little west of Lake Mary Boulevard. Otherwise, no problems along the interstate so far this morning. We are in good shape along the interstate throughout downtown Orlando. So far, so good along the 408, just slowly starting to pick up westbound approaching I-4, but still up to speed. Just one problem spot in the Claremont area. This is along State Road 33 at County Road 474. Reports of an accident with roadblock here. From the Traffic Center, I'm Courtney Bright.
Traffic on Air Online is service of Orange County Drug Free Coalition. Prescription drug abuse is an epidemic. Drugs are being stolen from medicine cabinets, maybe yours. Law enforcement will be collecting unused prescription drugs on Saturday, April 30th from 10 to 2. For locations, go to drugfreecoalition.org. Keep your home safe. You could save lives.
Car crash, visit forthepeople.com. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
From 540 WFLA, Orlando's 24-hour weather channel. Not a whole lot of change in our forecast for today. We're starting off in the low 70s here early this morning with a mixture of clouds and sun through the day. Once again, those pop-up late-day showers and storms on the hot